Facebook Live. Hope you guys are doing amazing. My Wi-Fi is weak as shit. Fuck you, Desk Hub. Colby, get your boys in here to fix this. Anyways, hopefully this works. So here's what we got today. I'm going to do a quick, simple, and fast mini class on the one question you should never ask, but it's also the most common question on the planet. And so this question, by the way, someone who joins in the comments, if you could just give me yes, I can hear you. I got this little mic thing and it's been giving me issues. So Jeff or whoever just jumped on, just give me a yes, I can hear you. And so here's what I'm going to go through. So this one question is it's the worst question you could ever ask someone, yet it's the most common question that we get. Right, because we get into situations where we're, in a social situation. Chris Doris in the house. Thank you. All right, cool, guys. So this question, it's so common, and it's something that we use when a conversation gets awkward and we got to fill space. And I've always said, embrace the awkward. That's where the power is. That tension. That's where the power is in a conversation, right? And so this question we get asked all the time, and it comes from a place of judgment. And so the question is, what do you do? And so, DeMartini and Tony Robbins talk about how the quality of the questions that you ask will tell you the quality of your life that you have. And I'll take that one further, but also the quality of the questions that you ask in a conversation will tell me the depth and the breadth of the relationships that you're having with people. And the most important part of life, at least for me, is connection. So what I'm going to teach you today is a way to stand out from the crowd, connect deeper and better. And if you do get asked this question, welcome Joe, if you do get asked this question, how to answer it in a powerful way that allows you to stand out from a crowded, boring marketplace and will magnetically attract the people, places, and environments to help you level up your life. So, what do you do, right? So this question that we hear over and over and over again, and let's be honest, what is this question masking? Because there's a lot of judgment underneath this question. What do you do is basically saying, how much money do you make? Are you worth my fucking time? Where are you on the social economic ladder? What can I get out of you, right? It's judgment. And so Cherie Alexander was on my podcast, and she talks about how we cannot influence anyone when we're judging them. Think about that again. We cannot influence somebody when we are judging them. So when you ask someone, what do you do? And even though consciously you might think that you have well intentions behind that, but you don't, you're in a place of judgment, and the conversation, the ability to connect is absolutely lost. And then later on, you got to try to regain this trust in the connection. And ultimately, doesn't that question remind you of being in a bullshit networking event where everyone's just trying to pitch you their product or their service? They don't even want to get to know you, right? How many of you guys have been there? That's why I stopped going to networking events, even for entrepreneurs. I think most of them are a wasteful time. So, but we're going to get asked this question, right? And so my challenge for you is to ask a better question, because when you ask a better question, you get a better answer and you get more connection. And that's what life is about, right? So when you meet someone at an event, maybe you go to seminars. I went to Thrive in October, one of the best events. I used to go to a lot more events, but for me, it's not about meeting 75 people at an event and getting a bunch of business cards. I want to meet 5 people, and I want to stay in touch with those 5 people. I want to create stuff, and I want to mastermind with them, and I want to learn from them. So I'm much more about depth with networking, and I don't even like using the word, than breadth and knowing all these people, but not really giving a fuck about what they do, who they are, and what fires them up. So here's 3 better questions to ask instead of what do you do. And when you ask these, some people are going to look at you weird. But once they get over that, they're going to be like, shit, this guy or gal, they get it. They want to get to know who I am, not how I, pay my bills or whatever it is. And so, number 1, what inspires you, right? This is an amazing question to ask anybody, right? So instead of what do you do, well, what inspires you? Because let's face it, most people aren't that inspired with what they're doing on a daily basis. Maybe have these dreams and aspirations and they haven't done that yet. But what I want to find out is What gets you up in the morning? What is something that you do that nobody has to motivate you to do? I don't care if that's cooking, gardening, writing, fitness, speaking. Like, I want to know what that is, right? Because that allows me to connect on a deeper level with you. So that's one of my favorite ones. Eric, great to see you at Sprouts the other day, my man. I know my Wi-Fi is kind of weak, dog. Hopefully it's not that bad. I just reached out to this co-working space and I'm like, you guys got to level up my Wi-Fi because Facebook Live, yo. All right, so that's number one. So what inspires you? Number two, what do you do for fun? What do you do for fun, right? And like, this is such a basic question, but when you find out what people do for fun, then you can start getting into what their passions are, what they're interested in. They mentioned Costa Rica. You talked about how they say they love travel. They mentioned Costa Rica. You've been to Costa Rica. So now we're creating real connection. Yeah, Dustin, welcome to the house. Chris, Ty, be your own guru. I'm going to get kicked out of the co-working space for yelling, but just for you, brother. Happy New Year, man. And thank you for your video. I've been meaning to get back to you. Thank you. So what do you do for fun? And here's the last question. I have about 30 questions that I could ask. What's the most adventurous thing you've done in the last 6 months, right? Like, think about these two questions. What do you do versus what's the most adventurous thing that you've done in the last 6 months, right? And so the quality of the answers and the connection that you're going to get back from that, and also expand people's minds, right? Have them live, have them see and perceive something different. It's going to 10x your game. And here's the deal. Don't be selfish when you're asking these questions. In other words, don't think about yourself in terms of, oh, I'm going to like stand out or it's going to be awkward. Like, dude, you're actually shining a light on someone else's, what's important to them, right? Like you're allowing them the space to open up and take the layers off of like, what do you do for a job, or what do you identify with, or the roles that you play, and you're like, damn, I want to get to know this person, right? And so when you ask these questions authentically, with energy, you look people in the eye, that's when you create massive connection. So this is going to be a quick video too, guys. Mike, welcome to the house. So I went over how to turn this into a more powerful question. So, I want you, if you're watching this, pick the question that you're going to use. So I did this, I think now for about 3 to 4 years, where that's the number one question that I would ask people. And I'm telling you, the level upness of my connections, my social connections, my business connections, all this stuff went from like a 2x to like a 20x just by changing this one question. So that's number one. And then number two, if you get asked this question, because let's face it, most people aren't going to do what I'm saying. They're going to ask, what do you do? What do you do? And as we said earlier, what do you do is like filling up space. Like, have you ever been in like a conversation where you kind of, it's like a new person and you both had like, you both went back and forth for a little bit and then there was this awkward pause. That's when the what do you do comes up, right? Or you talk about sports or weather or some other bullshit, right? That does not create connection. So the second thing is, how do we answer this in a more powerful way when we get asked the question? And so this one's one of my favorites, right? So I talk about this all the time. It's like I used to own, I had a gym back east, right? And Adrian, pretty simple, man. Like let's just based on my own experience, right? And like that's an assumption. But what do you do? It many times is a question of where you are in the ladder. Is this person worth my time? Should I spend more time with this person? What can I sell them and what can I get out of them? Like that's my assumption, and that's what I'm making in this video. If you believe it to be otherwise, if you believe that everybody asking what do you do comes from an authentic and powerful place, then dude, keep asking that shit. Not for me though. So here's the deal. How do we answer this in a more powerful way, right? So for example, if you're a personal trainer and someone says, what do you do? That was the tipping point, man. Just being involved in conversation. So Adrian's asking, wondered what the tipping point was. Man, just my personal life, personal observation, having these robotic conversations, trying to take them deeper, and not getting a lot of results. And then when I took the onus, when I took responsibility, as Preston Smile says, leaders go first. When I took the responsibility to take inventory of my language and how I was communicating to people, my conversation, my depth, 10x, 20x, way more. So just personal observation in my life. It's worked for a lot of my clients. I teach people this in all of my coaching programs. I'm a writer. I believe in the power of influence and language, and shining the lights on others and shining the light of yourselves for massive growth in every area of life. So let me get back to where I was going before that. Focus. Okay, cool. So you're a personal trainer, right? And so if someone asks, what do you do? What do you do for a living? Blah, blah, blah. I'm a personal trainer. Fucking boring. There are billions of personal trainers, right? Like you're doing yourself a massive disservice. You're doing the person a disservice. You're doing everyone. It's like, okay, let me give you this example. I'm a personal trainer, and I'll tell you exactly what I used to say when I was a personal trainer and I had a gym. So I'm a personal trainer, puts you in a box, and you yourself, I know, right, Chris? And you yourself, you dim your own brightness, right? And then, like, you close yourself off from opportunity is what this is about. When you dim your own, thanks for the questions, man. Always love being challenged and love the questions, man. So I appreciate that. And thank you for tuning in. Adrian, Kieran's in the house. So this is how I used to answer. So tell me which person, put yourself in this situation really quickly if you're in this Facebook Live. If you were looking to hire a fitness coach and you wanted extreme results and you wanted transformation, let me know which one of these would you answer. What do you do? Oh, I'm just a personal trainer. I work over here at LA Fitness. Cool. 1 out of 10. 1 out of 10 in terms of excitement, energy, ability to deliver value, change lives. Like, would you hire this person? I would have no interest, right? Or, this is what I used to say, that's a great question, Mike. You know, I work with people to address the foundational pillars of health, fitness, and nutrition to act as a catalyst for growth in every area of life and create transformation and experiences that are in line with what's important to them. Two different worlds. Am I saying the same thing? In a sense, the core thing of what I do is the same, but one, I don't showcase my value. I don't really believe in my life-changing service. I'm just like everybody else in a crowded marketplace, right? The other one, which was very in line with my mission at the time, right? Because I believe that if you address your physical foundation, you can. I've seen it firsthand. I've seen successful entrepreneurs who, were top 5 CEOs. I worked with a top 5 at GE, one of the biggest companies in the world, and she was being held back by her physical body. And so I believe that if you address your physical body, your ability to achieve results in other areas of life are exponential. And so which of those people is more likely to be referred to? Which is more likely to open up conversations where there's a potential to work together? Who's going to show more value to the world? And so that's what it's about. So I urge you, so here's another example. I'm a cop. I'm in law enforcement, right? So I'm in law enforcement, maybe firefighter, cop, whatever. And so that's great. That's great. But you could answer it. Oops, don't want to block you, Alan. You could answer it in one way, or I am the first line of defense for my community. I serve and protect my community so you can sleep safely at night. And that's just an example. I've never been a cop. I don't know exactly what goes into the ins and outs of it, but that's how I would harness more of a powerful language. Here's another one. Thank you, Frank Patrick Soul. Because I do copy, I write copy, right? So you ask most people, like, on the street, like, what's copy? They think, like, they have no idea. They think of, like, a copy machine or some bullshit. And so I could just say, oh, I'm a copywriter. Yeah, I write copy for people. Are you kidding me? Is anyone going to hire me by saying that? No, here's what I do. I take someone's unique value proposition, I extract the life-changing value that they provide to the world, and it is my job to communicate that in a way that positions them as the option for their marketplace. I take their most unique craft and I verbalize that, I write that, I do that in a way that's so powerful that engages with the exact people that they want to work with, influence, persuade, and ultimately deliver value to. So you can see how these things are so different. So if you're on the other side of this, I want you to think about what you do, which we've already addressed, right? And think about how you can communicate this in a more powerful way that truly expresses the magnitude of the value that you deliver. Because here's the deal. JJ Virgin said this at Thrive. Ramit Sethi said this the other day. Great podcast. The stuff that you're great at, the stuff that and this doesn't have to be your job, guys. This can be like your passions, whatever you're interested in. It doesn't have to be what you're doing right now when you get asked this, but the stuff that you're great at, that no one has to motivate you to do, that you've spent years studying, that you study like without even like, you could be like exhausted and you're still wanting to do these things. For me, it's personal growth, success, mindset stuff. I love copy, I love influence, writing, all that stuff. That stuff, other people are willing to pay a lot for, but because it's so familiar to you, because you're so good at it, because your level of mastery in it is so large, or your pursuit of mastery, you're already so in it, you dim how powerful it is to other people. JJ Virgin said this, that she had this, before she launched her best-selling book that catapulted her to massive success at Thrive. She said, I had created a program about autoimmune issues and food allergies in a diet. And to me, and she said it beautifully, and I don't think anybody caught it. I wrote it down, but she said something about how her publisher was like, do that, and she's like, oh, no one's gonna buy that. Like, that's so easy. And they're like, no, JJ, like, that's not easy. That's easy because you live it. But the marketplace would die for this. And guess what? Next thing she know, put the book, I don't know what the name of the book is, it was one of her first bestsellers, and then catapulted her. She's one of the most famous and influential people in the fitness, health, nutrition space. Because she took something that was familiar to her, right? And it wasn't exciting to her. See, that's the issue. A lot of the stuff that we can deliver value to the world is 6 inches in front of our face because we do it anyways and it's so familiar to us. So here's your takeaway. Here's your homework if you watch this. I really want you to do this, because if you just watch this, like, I appreciate you being on here, and it honestly means the world. I answer all the messages, all the comments as much as I can, because I'm humbled to be able to provide some spark, some value in anyone's life, just like so many people have done for me. But we know that that just consuming information only wires parts of our minds. So by taking some type of action, we 10x our speed of learning. So I would love to hear your 1 or 2 sentences in these comments, whether you're watching this live or on a replay. Maybe you take a few minutes after this is done, and I want you to write what you do or the value that you deliver to the world in your most powerful, expressive, enthusiastic state, right? So like I said, the personal trainer example, the cop example, the copywriter example, even the accountant. You could dress up the accountant, and if you believe in your value, right? If you're an accountant who helps entrepreneurs, for example, and you just say, I'm an accountant, dude, I ain't gonna hire you, bro. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not gonna hire you. But if you say, I help entrepreneurs, I give entrepreneurs the peace of mind to know that all of their numbers are fine-tuned. I've also found ways to keep them in compliance while, saving them XYZ money or whatever it may be. I don't know too much about accounting, so you can notice. But that becomes your powerful statement. Dude, I'm all in. I'm all in, right? I hate accounting. Like, numbers and stuff like that and balance sheets, not my thing. So if I heard someone say that, if I said, what inspires you, and we actually ended up getting to accounting, and they said that, I'm all in. I am all in because they've communicated the value in a confident, enthusiastic way. And here's the deal. This is the last thing I'm going to leave you guys on. It's been an absolute pleasure. at the end of the day, you have to continuously sell yourself on yourself. And so the language that you use about yourself, it's much like self-talk that we tell ourselves every day. That is more important than anything you're going to tell to the marketplace. So if you don't believe as a trainer that you have the transformational capabilities of actually changing a life, not the bullshit cliche that we hear, but truly changing someone's life, expanding their life by 10 to 15 years by addressing their pillars of health, or beyond that. Get creative about it. I've had people that because we addressed their physical foundation, they created businesses, they started new relationships. And so think about your success stories and find a way to encapsulate that in 1 or 2 sentences. And even if you're not at the place where you feel like your statement is 1000% accurate, but you're working to it, then start using it. And we got an action taker in the house. We got Adrian. I help senior financial professionals to design and maintain corporate 401k retirement plans that support, engage, and empower their employers in a transformational way. Hell yeah. So I'm interested, right? That some of the words he used in there, engage, empower, and transformational. That stuff speaks to me in a very large way. And he could have said, I don't know, can you type in the very corporate like speak, like what it would actually be as like financial advisor or something like that? Let me know. And so great example by Adrian, actually taking action. Love that, man. So once you have your statement, once you craft your statement, think about it, craft your statement. 2, share the statement on here. And 3, say it over and over. Like for Resist Average Academy, I could say, I just have a podcast. Cool story, bro. So do like 50 billion other people. Or I could say, I deep dive into conversations with top visionaries in the world, entrepreneurs, athletes, artists, to extract the inspiration and the practical action steps to give my audience the tools to create a life by design, not by default. Do you see the difference between those 2 statements? And so once you have your statement, practice every single day. Like Adrian, man. Yeah, I want to make sure it wasn't Adrian. I wanted to make sure it wasn't Adriana or something. I messed that up. Awesome, man. Financial consultant who specializes in 401k plans. Michael, I don't even want to mess up your last name, brother. Ivanov. I think I got that right. I write and speak with the hope of inspiring folks to find a better way to live. Simple, to the point, and I'll obviously like make it your language, right? I love using these big words and like expansive words, but it has to sound true to you, right? Yes, we're coming in. You guys are rock stars today. You're firing me up. Elizabeth, I help those with a message to share a story to tell, write and publish a book that is indistinguishable from a New York Times bestseller that may be sitting next to it and enables them to ... That is awesome. Do you guys see how cool that is? Where she could have just said, I don't know exactly what her like role would be, but maybe she just says, I'm a publisher, or I help people publish books. But what she just said, New York Times bestseller. If I'm interested in writing a book, like as a business entrepreneur, I'm having a conversation with Elizabeth, I'm all in. But guess what? Even if I'm not, now that I know that she cares enough about what she does, how she shows value to the world, dude, I got a network of like hundreds of other people who are gonna, like I know 4 people this year who are going to write a book. I got my boy. I got several people who are going to write a book, and so including me. And so actually, it's already written. But anyways, but now knowing this, now that I know this, now that Elizabeth had the audacity to and care enough about other people to lift her message up and showcase this, now I'll go out of my way, and when I'm having a random conversation with someone that's like, dude, I'm trying to do this self-publishing thing, but nothing works, I'm like, dude, I got you, man. I got Elizabeth. Let me connect you guys. And so that's the power of doing this. So guys, this has been one of my funnest Facebook Lives because your interaction was through the roof, and more importantly, you took action on what I said. So if you're watching this on the replay, check out the comments, check out the examples, review it, and then craft and share your personal transformational, empowering message on how you deliver value to the world, or how you plan on delivering value to the world, or where you are on your journey and what you can express to people. So guys, thank you so much. If you've never listened to my podcast, I would love to have you on board. It's called the Resist Average Academy on iTunes. We do 2 episodes a week, Fridays 4 to 10 minutes, and then Mondays full length with some amazing people. So it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, Adrian. I appreciate it. I appreciate the comments, man, and then I also appreciate you taking action. Thank you so much, guys. Have an amazing Friday. Own your day. Own your life. Take care. Thank you.